Joining us now on Sunday Sports Extra is Andrew Greif, the Oregonian, the Oregon beat writer. Andrew, you are a native Oregonian. You don't just work for the Oregonian. You are an Oregonian yourself. North Bend, grew up there. What do you remember of the Civil War growing up in North Bend, Oregon when you were younger?
The most vivid memory I have is the 1998 Civil War, where Oregon State won. I think it was a double overtime, maybe triple overtime game. Certainly went into extra time, and Oregon State pulled off a stunner. I remember a dropped punt by, I think, Michael Fletcher from the Ducks and Ken Simonton. That was one of his big breakout games. I remember watching that game. We recorded it. My parents recorded it, and we had that tape for a number of years. I remember watching it over and over. It was that kind of a sea change game. It felt like Oregon State turned a corner a little bit, led to the Dennis Erickson era maybe. That one is easily the biggest kind of standout memory.
Such a wet game. I know our Damon Griffin played in that game. That was his last Civil War, and every time you talked to him about Ken Simonton scoring that touchdown in double overtime, I think it was, he doesn't like that memory. Always cool to get, I think, memories of native Oregonians about this rivalry. I know Mark Helfrich was talking about it tonight, being from just across the bay from you in Coos Bay. Moving on to the actual game and Oregon specifically in this game, let's take care of some housekeeping first. Thomas Tyner, speaking of players from this state, one of the few really on either side who's a big contributor, didn't play against Colorado. What's his status for the Civil War?
Helfrich tonight, he met with reporters as usual, and he said that Tyner was literally day-to-day, which would suggest that he got banged up at some point last week in practice, possibly. Maybe he just had to sit out the game. He's been very injury-prone, as everyone knows. He's had high ankle sprains. He's had shoulder problems this year. Unclear if one of those was re-aggravated or if it was something new, but he sounds like he maybe is an injury-related thing. Not quite sure, of course, but Helfrich's phrasing would suggest that. So he was a big contributor last year in the Civil War. It wasn't a breakout game for him, but he was really not a dominant force, but it was a big contributor in Oregon's victory that was much closer than people thought. And so I know that he would be from Aloha and a fan of the Beavers growing up. Yep. I'm sure he would love to play if he could.
The Ducks have shown that without him, they're okay. Royce Freeman has certainly been able to handle the load. Do you see any concerns? Anything concern you about the Ducks heading into this game? On paper, it looks like it should be another Oregon win. It's been since 2007, the last time the Beavers won.
On paper, I don't see many reasons to fret if you're a Ducks fan. I'm sure every coach on the staff would want to plug their ears and say and not hear that. But these Ducks, they've won 6 in a row. They've just mauled for the last 6 weeks all their opponents. The Beavers, they have reason to think that this is a rivalry game. Anything can happen. Last year's result, when they took the Ducks down to the final minute, beating Arizona State at home only a couple weeks ago, those suggest that they can do this. They could pull this off. But I would put that shot at a long shot, given Oregon's strength. Their health seems back. The offensive line got back Andre Irithagawenya this weekend. That was big. Maybe Matt Pearson's coming back soon with his timeline. Cronus Grossu sounds like he'll be out again. But Amani Stevens played great at center, and Doug Brenner filled his spot at left guard. So all the pieces are clicking right now for Oregon, whereas in Corvallis, it seems like things are just kind of falling apart.
Yeah, not a good game for the Beavers last night, certainly in Washington. He's Andrew Greif for the Oregonian with the Duck perspective.